flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item number 1, discussion regarding proposed airport hangar property leases and requests for approval of the leases. Well, first thing I'm going to say about this, I'm going to do a little talking myself first, is that the other two gentlemen sitting here probably have not had quite enough time to review this because there was a couple last minute things, and unfortunately Michelle was taken ill yesterday and this morning, and it's just the way it is. So unless they want to move on. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I've gone through the last month. First of all, I know with this whole thing, I believe that Rob and Attorney McDonald had a discussion about the leases, is that correct?
One clause on the lease, the termination clause.
Okay, so the other thing, I take many calls in this job. And what's supposed to be a part-time job in the last week has been a full-time job for this. Okay, whether it be the town or the airport. And I'm committed to the airport and I'm committed to the town. But when I get calls from people like Chris, he used to be on the commission, Latham. What are you doing with this 60-day termination clause? Dave Hefkin said this, Dave Hefkin said that. Well, Dave Hefkin is not on the airport commission anymore. I don't want to hear about Dave Hefkin making any decisions. So apparently there was a minor error when this gentleman made out a contract where that 60-day thing that is supposed to be in the hangar part of it, T-hangars rental, got moved over on the land lease or whatever it was. It was a mistake. People were informed that it was a mistake. But worse than that, this morning, my goddamn day started at 5:30 this morning because of an email that went out to the club from somebody about the 60-day thing again. And that's probably why a good portion of you are sitting in here. And I've never sworn like this in a meeting, I'll tell you that right now. But I'm damn pissed off. That crap does not need to happen. There's got to be communications. There can't be selective emails. I've had it with that crap. We got to start operating as a team. That's what I got to say. I'm not yelling at most people.
Well, that was my email sent out. And
it doesn't need to be sent out if you don't check the facts with him, me, or especially Al. Alex, the second call I got this morning, and he said, Jesus, Frank, did you see the email? I said, no, but I heard about it at 5:30 this morning.
okay, well, I was looking for a draft copy of what you guys were going to approve, and I was unable to obtain that, and there was still concern that that clause was in there. And so apparently you guys had a meeting on Monday of trying to iron this out. I was not aware of the meeting. I wasn't invited to the meeting. I didn't know the meeting even happened. And so all of a sudden now you're talking about approving a lease. I'm getting a little worried for all the other people there as to what is the verbiage and the language on that lease, since it hasn't been.
Did you call Al?
Did I call Al?
And ask him about it before you sent that email out yesterday? Or last night or whenever it was sent out?
No.
Okay.
Because I didn't get an update. Al apparently met with a number of you guys on Monday, and I never heard anything about that. So I didn't know it was ironed out.
Okay.
And
Well, wouldn't your first call be to your, I don't know what you'd call you're the manager over there, but he's the board chairman. Wouldn't your first call naturally be to him first?
But he's not doing the lease. It's you guys doing the lease.
Okay.
So you're creating this lease. We are not creating the lease.
So,
Okay. Well, go ahead, guys.
to Rob's point, you're an employee generally of the airport commission. Al is the chair of that board. To clarify two things, just in case someone wants to know, a number of us was not the town board. For clarification, it was not a town board meeting. I didn't know about it until approximately 4:30 this afternoon myself. The draft of these came out this afternoon. To Frank's point, we haven't had a chance to read through them yet. So your involvement doesn't supersede the fact that we're doing something behind closed doors, or somehow involve the fact that the facts are still sitting in front of us as draft A, B, C, D, and E. Okay? So, from the big picture of things, there are 3 board members. I didn't get a call from you. Sounds like Frank did. Who did you try to contact to get a draft of the lease?
I talked to Michelle, I left a message for that
When?
yesterday.
When?
An email. Right, we didn't talk.
I left a message last
Okay.
night,
Right.
yesterday afternoon.
And
And,
I left because
so
I
I
told
knew
her
this
originally
was coming up, and if the verbiage, I wasn't getting a draft copy, I didn't know what was gonna be on it. I wanted to let the people know that have leases at the airport, that this discussion is going to take place.
But yet
And-
you didn't call any of the board members, nor the town chairman, nor the chairman of the airport commission. Like, this is part of the bullshit that goes on.
Excuse me, sir,
Yes,
why is it considered bullshit for us to be here?
it's not. It's not. There is an opportunity, and all of you are welcome to come to all of our meetings.
All he
Part of-
said was, there's a meeting coming on tonight regarding release. That's why I'm here. And he already knows that I'm on really thin ice. I'm 85 years old, my airplane is 60 years old. It's got a run-out engine in it. If I put a new engine in it, it won't be worth a penny more than it is now. I don't have much invested in the hangar. I need a new sheep barn. One of my options is, I'm thinking real seriously about tearing the hangar down and using that for a sheep barn. And all I need to know now is, do I have to remove the concrete?
Could I ask your name, please, sir?
Tom Cordell.
Thank you.
The part of it
That's a
is,
discussion for a different agenda, first of all.
the part that's frustrating is us having to play.
I didn't ask for the question, I said that's all I needed to know.
Okay.
Part of what is troublesome and is harder to do than to just discuss and have the facts is to have to unravel things that aren't facts. And quite honestly, for quite some time, there has been, I get it, there's no center hub, someone at the airport every single day, all of that, but there has to be a certain amount of communication that happens amongst all of us so that we understand what's being discussed, what the changes are, and everything else. And to artificially, whether it was artificially or accidentally, maybe a better term, rile people up and make them think that what is in front of us is something that it's not, is where the annoyance part of this comes up. So there are absolute points of contact that all of our phone numbers are posted, all of our emails are posted. And if you have a question, by all means, call me, right? And if you would have called me yesterday, I would have said, I have no idea, because I haven't seen a draft, right? The last draft I had was from 10 days ago. I had no idea up until this afternoon that there was a meeting on Monday where some of the language was worked through. Those are the things that absolutely let the flying club know. Let all the hangar owners know.
That's what I did. I let them know that there's a discussion about a lease. The language in the lease is unclear. So please, whoever is interested in knowing what the language of the lease is, show up to this meeting.
And that's fine, you all are always welcome at our meetings, always, no doubt about that. The part that bothers me, and I'm in with Josh, I got no phone call, I knew nothing about this until I walked in today, about 4 o'clock, 4:30.
Well, had I called you, you guys wouldn't have known anyway.
But you would, the part that bothers me is the confrontational nature of things. We have got, the three of us have gotten a very bad rap about not supporting the airport. Nothing could be further from the truth. We are all extremely supportive of the airport. We all feel it's and sorry I'm talking for you guys. We all feel that it's very much an asset for this community, but yet there's talk out there, there's always communication that this board does not support the airport. So supporting or communications and making it a good relationship is a two-way street. So please give us the benefit of the doubt to talk about things before anything is incited, because there's people out there that take things and will run with them if they can. And we don't want that. We want to work with the airport. We want to improve things. We want to make this a positive relationship for everybody involved. That's my whole point on this.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen many draft copies of this lease. I've written emails and sent them off to you guys, to Frank, and I've never gotten a response back on any of the correspondences that I've sent to you guys for my input on the lease and some of my concerns. I've never gotten any response on that, so I don't know if it's going on deaf ears or, so if I don't get a response, I don't think anything is going to be changing.
You, first off, don't say that you sent emails to us guys. 'Cause
Okay.
I don't have an email from you, period.
Right, I've sent them to Frank.
So, correct, there's three of us, you can send your concerns as the airport manager to the town board members. Especially if you get the feeling that one person, not saying you are, that one person is not responding to you or that things that you're suggesting are not being listened to. That's why there's three of us. That's also why there's an airport commission chairman. That's also why there's an airport commission chair and board members. It's not just Al, it's also Cal, it's also, I saw him walk in. You know, it's.
Yeah, but they're not doing the lease. The board is doing the lease. The commission has nothing to do with the lease. You guys, as the town board, are generating the lease, not the commission.
Correct, but my point is rather than emailing one singular person and then saying, I reached out and told everybody my opinion, I don't know what your opinion or your concerns are. That's one of the important pieces of this whole communication train, is that it stays on the tracks, so that we can have an effective and actual, dissertation about the language in the lease.
I guess,
So-
if you guys don't communicate with each other, how am I supposed to know?
First of all, I can't pick the phone up and call him because it's a quorum. That's why I just saw Cal, wherever the heck he is, walk in here. Now I'm looking around to see if there's one more of the airport commissioners here, because I was gonna ask one of them to walk out the door, but there's only two of us. Okay, we have to worry about that stuff, because there's somebody always sitting here usually hawking us to see what we're gonna do wrong next. Okay, I got one more issue, and then we're gonna talk about the good stuff on this. I don't need to be told that we're meddling in the airport business. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You told that to her, and that really hurts the living hell out of me. We're not meddling, we're doing our job. This guy right here has to look out for the township, so do we. End of the negative stuff. Now, on a positive note, yes, Monday, Al Maury and myself, Rick Jalnick, Rick Martin, and Mr. Lotzer had a meeting with this gentleman for 1 hour. We went through the leases. There were some issues that were brought up, right, Attorney McConnell? And some wording got changed, some things that were wrong, straightened out. And when we walked away at that meeting at 1:59, we thought everything was basically done. There were just a couple minor tweaks. And obviously you gentlemen haven't seen it. I really appreciate their input. They're long timers here at the airport. Now, Bory's probably been doing this longer than almost MO. But some good positive feedback and help from these gentlemen. I really appreciate it. On that note,
We appreciate you.
well, thanks. Gentlemen, go ahead.
And keep in mind, part of the reason this is going on is because there's 4 or 5 different leases. We're trying to make them as consistent as possible where they can be. We're also trying to cover a lot of things that may not be in the leases before that need to be, just from protecting the town, protecting the airport themselves. So anything we're doing is trying to protect the airport, protect the town. We're not trying to pull any fast ones. Everything's open, everything's in the public, et cetera, et cetera.
I guess the communication is a two-way street too.
But you haven't reached out to Josh or I at all.
So can I be emailing the whole board my
You
concerns,
can
or is
send
that?
emails through Michelle and she'll get them to us. I saw you outside the door here a couple weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago. Never brought up one thing to me about it. You just said hi and how's things going, and that's it. You never brought any subject up to me. So please take advantage when we see you and things like that, we're always open to discuss not just the airport, but any of our voters, veterans, or citizens, any issues they want, we're always open. That's why we're here.
But you guys have got a question for?
Well, I've got apologies in advance. I have several questions on all these. Do we wanna go through them one at a time, or do we wanna put it on the agenda for the next meeting and, do it then?
I, quite honestly, in the hope of doing something, I think that, if you've got specific questions, cause I do as well, that if we can air the questions, so that potentially when we meet in 2 weeks or
I'm fine
whatever
with
it is,
that.
that by that point, number one, we've got some time, John's got some time, everybody's got some time to contemplate the questions, and then also find the answers, and then have time to review it before,
I agree.
so.
We're gonna start with lease A. T-hanger lease. So I wanna, my first, you wanna go first, you wanna go first?
I've got a super simple question, I
Okay,
guess,
go ahead.
because this is for the existing occupants in the existing T-hangars, from my understanding. Okay, what did we change? Because if we're doing anything with this lease, that means that those 8 occupants have to sign this lease. If the intent, which is my understanding as of an hour and a half ago, is that the reason there is this lease plus the new T-hanger lease is that the rates for this are different than this one. So if this lease, let's hope that there's 8 of them that are signed, if this lease is not going to be required to be re-signed under the existing or maybe modified terms, why are we doing anything with this? If the intent is I'm just gonna use this. If Rob is an occupant currently, and he moves his plane out, and I move in, I would go to this lease, and this one would go away.
Correct.
So, is the intent that the existing terms of the lease are going to remain with some minor changes somewhere? Again, I don't know if
Did
there are.
anything change?
Well, to my knowledge, I believe, could be wrong, Michelle may have that information. Say your lease is still good, it was signed a couple of years ago, it's a 2-year lease, right? 2 years.
Are we talking T-hanger or are we
Yeah,
talking?
Current
T-hanger.
occupants of the current T-hanger building.
I don't know that any of the leases are valid, because they were 3-year leases issued when they
Right,
moved in.
and it,
So I think they're all expired.
Right, so everybody's gonna have to
Then this
sign
is-
a new lease.
then this is a
So then
non-issue.
this one doesn't matter other than the rates of the occupants.
Correct.
But that would be covered under the T-hanger for new occupants and new T-hangers as constructed.
The new T-hanger, by the way, I understand for them run it out, or spoken for it, but if you're a new person coming into the old T-hanger with the 8 of them, you're gonna be signing a new lease.
Right, and as, well, first of all, if none of these current leases are valid anymore, why are we even talking about this one?
Well, this is the.
This should be torn up. No, this is the current occupants only.
Well,
Lease A is current-
because the dollar amount's gonna be different.
Correct.
But that's a dollar amount that'll go into the new one, new occupant. Right? So if this is not valid anymore, we shouldn't even be talking about this one.
What if,
This
to
one
me,
should be retired.
that was my question, is that if they're not going to be re-signed, or there's some other term in here, if it really is only rent, this goes back to the conversation from a few months ago about having a fee schedule, right?
We just need that, I do that to you.
So the fee schedule that's adopted every single year would be able to identify fee schedule for units 39, 29, 30, 31, 39, and 40, because the other ones are new occupants.
That's exactly right, Josh.
Okay,
So you're telling me that when a lease, I'm all about simplification. Okay, so if we have current lease for these hangars for current occupants, but none of them are valid anymore, why wouldn't they, along with any new occupants, if somebody leaves and somebody takes it over, why wouldn't they transition to lease E for new occupants, and this one be retired?
I agree
Why
with that
continue to
statement.
have both of these?
The only difference is if you're the old, been in there, your fee schedule's gonna be different than we just moved.
So then our,
Well, wait. You bring up the fee schedule. Why is it different?
Because,
A question I have on every one of these is where's the fee schedule? I don't know what the fee schedule is.
go ahead.
May I
Cal.
interject? Permission to
Yeah,
interject?
He did all research.
So
on this.
Lou and myself spent like 3, 4, or 5 days of 3 to 4 hour blocks at a time. And we were, number one, as an airport commission, we felt that the people that have been paying dues and being the hangar, we wanted to reward them for being with us. And we didn't want to have a mass exodus of people leaving the T hangars. So Lou and I scheduled those that have been here get a break. If they're staying in the old hangar, they get a break, and they slowly increase over the years to match the people that are starting out right at 200, whatever the number is, I can't remember anymore. But the new people, whether you're in the old hangar or the new hangar, you start out at the higher price, basically. And eventually they merge.
No, I understand
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
you say over time, they'll slowly catch up.
Yeah.
But over time, the new ones, that fee schedule is gonna change too, so how does it ever catch up?
Well, yes and no. It won't go like
I'm
that.
not
but-
trying to be argumentative.
Yeah, right.
I'm just
No, I
very
understand.
confused.
Yes, so there's gonna be like a ceiling with the T hangars, like, let's just say 250 as a, for argument's sake, let's just say 250, it's just ridiculous to go above 250, because everybody's gonna leave and go somewhere else cheaper. So we have a ceiling and we're gradually meeting that ceiling over time, and this is not accurate, but it was like,
I don't know, I haven't seen the fee schedule.
that Lou has it.
I don't,
Yeah.
supposedly, Frank, you've said that
Well, actually,
Cal or somebody else has done a comparative study of between
We
here
did, we
and
did,
other airports on
yeah.
what other airports charge versus ours. I've never seen that study.
yeah.
We need that information before we can even ask some of these questions.
It's all laid out, Rob. He just doesn't have with, we had it at our meeting the other day.
It's all laid out. We haven't seen it.
Why is the town board concerned with the fee schedule? I mean, the airport is managing the airport. I mean, to me, this seems like, I don't wanna be offensive, but it seems like micromanaging the airport again.
Are there, let me ask you a question, are there 14 hangars without leases currently?
Yes.
Why the hell would we not be concerned about any of it? You have people occupying buildings without a lease, period. Why is that not a concern?
It is a
It's a
concern,
concern because it's a concern, that's why it's a concern.
but the fee schedule,
Right, but if it says $2 or 2,000, there's a big difference, right? We as a town board may say, Cal, you did awesome, we're not willing to charge people $2,000 a month. Or we may say, Cal, you did great, but we're not willing to only get $2 a month. We don't have the fee schedule. At the end of the day, the commission is there to operate the airport, 100%. If there's no due diligence and we're a rubber stamp, why are we here?
We're
now
not,
what, you have 114 that you've turned over the management of the airport to the commission.
Yeah.
And it's up to the commission to manage the day-to-day operations of the airport.
Correct.
And it seems like you guys are trying to get into the day-to-day operations
You
of the
need to read the
airport.
statute that says the town board is responsible to approve the leases.
Correct.
Period.
Approving the leases, yeah, I agree.
So this is part of that process.
so if you want to have, for this town board to be more hands-off like prior boards, to his point, why aren't you keeping leases current?
It's not me,
You-
this has been going on for 7
You're
years.
the manager of the airport, are you not? Is that not part of your job description? The management of the leases?
Yes,
So then,
there has been a number of
so don't
sales of
say not me.
these, part of the 14 were way before my time. And so I made a discovery,
pull
and
this-
I'm trying to fix it.
Let's pull this
So,
back.
And so are we. We're trying to get this to a point where we don't have 9 different leases from 4 different decades and 14 people who don't have any.
And 5 different people paying different rates for the same thing.
well, it's always gonna be a different rate, because if you're in an apartment building, one person moves out, you raise the rate for that, that doesn't change the rate of every other person that lives
I
in the
get that.
apartment.
But I wanna see the fee schedules. I wanna see the comparative studies of where Palmyra's airport is compared to other airports, so we know if those fee schedules are. We are concerned, we are huge supporters of the airport, but it's also our responsibility to make sure that the airport is sustainable. And is gonna be here 5, 10, 15 years down the road. And that all comes back to fiscal responsibility, and are we competitive with other airports? I hope we're slightly more competitive than other airports to attract people. But I also don't want us to be extremely low when all of the other options are way up here. We should be competitive. Yeah, I have no problem being slightly less, but why should the other airports be up here and we down here and losing income for the airport to be, continue to be self, sustaining, other than electric bills, so I had to get that one in there. But that's all we're here for. And I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers when I say this, okay? But in these times, in these economies, what we're trying to do is pull these, like Josh said, consolidate and bring a level of professionalism into this, where we're trying to be competitive, hopefully slightly less to remain competitive, but we're not being, well, let's go to Palmyra because they don't charge hardly anything compared to other airports. We want the airport to be sustainable. And that's why, that's why we're taking.
As well, so I mean,
What's
that's what, it's in our interest as well, I mean, we've got a tight ship there, I mean, we do a lot of volunteer stuff, so we don't have the expenses that many airports have. So
Absolutely.
we're trying to keep things very competitive, lower price.
Please don't take any of this as negatives or shots at the airport. It's not.
Excuse me. Yeah,
Yes.
you get that rate sheet from Al right away.
So Lou has it, he has the accurate numbers. This is the first proposal.
That's your rough draft, isn't it?
Right, it's a rough draft.
So,
So,
I'll tell you what, have Lou or yourself
right,
get it immediately tomorrow if you can, to Michelle, so she can distribute
Okay.
it to,
Along with the competitive analysis.
I'll call Al and he'll probably call Lou, and then Lou will get a hold of her.
don't be afraid
No,
to work.
I'll call them too.
Call these 2 guys
yeah,
and, you're on the same page with them.
well, I just wanna use chain of command, right? So you put a request to me, I'll go to my boss, which is Al, Al will go to Lou, and Lou will get the numbers to your secretary, and then Al will probably coordinate with you.
It does sound
Okay.
like the government.
You gotta use chain of command. So,
You're right. Thanks.
no problem, no problem.
But do we not agree that all the rates should be the same for everybody then? Or
No.
do we?
No.
I'm
As
not
an
gonna
airport
comment until I
commission-
see the rates.
Well, I mean, if they're different, is that okay, or is that, you think everybody should be
Depends
the
how
same?
different, to me, this is just me.
Correct.
Depends how different.
To their, whatever, they haven't seen it, there isn't much of a difference, Joe. And they even out, if I remember correctly, everything's the same at 2030.
2031-ish.
Is that what it is?
Around 20, 30
Everybody's
plus
brought up
next
to
year.
say, and now, if that 8 hangar, or T hangar empties out, everybody's on the newer contract.
Correct.
So, but I think they even out at 2030 is what it said, so.
You have discrepancies on prices of land leases as well.
But I still well, that's a different lease. We're talking about this one right now. But I still don't see why this current contract would have to stay in existence. If we change a little bit of wording, and any new contract comes under this, it's just a different fee schedule that's used.
I having a little sidebar with the attorney.
So, there's a, whether if it's a 2-year lease And anybody who's not here currently, every 2 years, there's just a new rent structure. If that's one option, right?
Correct.
The other option would be called the catch-up version, right? Those two, I think, could delete 7, 9 pages of confusion and put leases signed prior to, let's just say, May 1st, 2025. This is your fee schedule. Leases signed after May 1st or on May 2nd and beyond, this is your fee schedule. And have maybe the same 5-year window, side by side, over the top, lefty, righty, doesn't matter, but you would get rid of having to implement who's a current, because there's enough confusion, who's a current occupant? Well, I'm a current occupant, even though I signed it 6 years after Cal did. I'm a current occupant, why can't I have this things? Putting a date stamp
There's
in.
better ways to phrase the applies to.
Correct.
To make it more
Or-
consistent and accurate.
Or just use this one, which is the exact same description, 29, 30, 31, whatever. But aside from the rent section, which is generally the exact same thing as what's in the other one, it would just be defined, and you could put per adopted fee schedule on
That's what I
whatever.
said, and I agree with you.
Do you wanna hop to E, as long as we're talking
A to E.
T hanger?
Well, before we leave A,
Sure.
well,
You're calling.
if
The one question
we're,
that's a long
if we're,
time.
if we're retiring A, the current, if we're gonna do that, and hopefully that's the case, we can combine them, then I don't have any other questions. So, is that the goal of the intent?
Yes, I would say so. So I look at E, look at this. Numbers are the same. What are the numbers of the new T hangar that's not even up yet?
One of the questions I have for that lease is,
Yeah, 'cause
can
it's
we go ahead and
still-
assign those numbers and make it specific? Have we assigned
What's the
numbers yet to the lease?
So we were supposed to have a board meeting, I think Lou went on a trip, so the board meeting got canceled, it was like a month or 2 months ago. And we're currently, should probably schedule another board meeting like within a couple of weeks.
I agree 100% with that.
So are we moving on
We
from
need
A?
to have the board meeting before our meeting on Monday, the second
Yes,
Monday.
yeah,
So next week we need to have a board meeting.
as long as it's Tuesday or earlier, or whatever. 'cause-
Well, whatever you can do,
Right.
talk to Al, okay?
I would make a motion regarding what is called Lease A, titled T hanger lease, for T hangers 29 through 32, 38 through 41, and current occupants only, to direct the town attorney to incorporate Lease A into Lease E, which is titled T hanger lease, applies to T hangers 29 through 32, 38 through 41, with new occupants and new T hangers as constructed. And incorporate those two leases into one, and insert whatever language we need to be able to identify the differences in rent rates per the fee schedule.
I second the motion.
Motion's been made by Supervisor Gieske as stated by him, a second by Supervisor Martins. Any further discussion?
You have questions on E?
Yes, but that shouldn't be part of it. We should vote on retiring A first.
Okay, no further discussion, all in favor of passing Supervisor Gieske's motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. A goes away and we're gonna incorporate it with E. Does make sense, John, it does make sense. Just get the wording a little.
Might as well go out of order, let's go straight to E then, since it's similar. My first question